We've touched on some of the items that are on the agenda of this G7 summit and some things that aren't. In fact, it's often pointed out that some of the most important discussions between the leaders take place on the sidelines in impromptu conversations. Here now are some more perspectives gathered by our producer, Jonathan Pierce.
One of those impromptu discussions will almost definitely be about the recently imposed U.S. tariffs.
We have a neighbor now whose view of the world is that there is no global community and that the world is an arena. And in this arena, every country fights for its share, and you go out and they embrace that. I mean, it's pretty, stark view of the world, different from any of their predecessors. Americans have always been isolationists, but what they have done is elevate this to a level we've never seen before.
Washington's decision to slap tariffs on steel and aluminum could be seen as an example of that elevated isolationism. It's certainly widely seen by its allies, including Canada, as a threat to global growth, and perhaps the start of an all-out trade war. As host of a multilateral forum like the G7, Canada can work with other allies to counter actions like these.
This world works if it's rule-based. If countries the size of our country are able to work in an environment where there are rules and not just sheer brute power, because if that's the case, this isn't about getting everything you want because you're stronger than the other side. It has to be about rules that allows everyone to grow. So that's what we're being confronted with. And we should be working at rallying all the other countries who share our view of the world.
And while not on the official agenda, some say at the G7 Canada can provide leadership in addressing global concerns like the growing refugee crisis and helping those displaced by conflict.
If the United States under Donald Trump is taking a vacation, then the others have to stand up. In a country like Canada, well, we can't lead, we can help in our positioning and finding niches, as we're doing, for example, on the Rohingya, as we're doing on peace operations. And I use the Rohingya as a particular example because it's displaced person, of which there's now 100 million, the most since the Second World War. And what we're doing is shining a light on a difficult problem. Again, we're not going to solve the problem, but we can use our moral authority, in a sense, to say this is something the world should pay some attention to, and thus you have Bob Ray and Christopher Freeland going over there and talking to the Islamic Cooperation Summit, which is, again, something which is not normal, but is the kind of thing I think that countries like Canada that want to be constructive, we now have to step up because the system is under such strain and is truly crumbling at the edges.
I think a focus for Canada should be the global refugee crisis. I think the fact that there are approximately 22.5 million refugees in the world, above half of those are under the age of 18. I think this should be seen as a very serious human security concern, and should also be seen as an opportunity for Canada to reaffirm their commitment to protection of global human rights. On top of, Canada has been leading the way in terms of resettlement. I think there's a lot more we can do in terms of supporting the global south, who actually do host the vast majority of refugees in the world right now.